A tariff is essentially a tax, a specific kind of tax levied on goods as they are imported from other countries into a nation. Think of it as an entry fee, a charge imposed on foreign products seeking access to a domestic market. Its main purpose? What are tariffs really designed to do? Primarily to protect domestic industries. By making imports more expensive, tariffs aim to level the playing field or to gain leverage in international disputes, acting as a bargaining chip in trade negotiations. For shoppers, tariffs often translate directly to higher prices on store shelves. This happens as companies, facing increased import costs, inevitably pass the extra cost down the line to consumers. For example, consider a 25% tariff imposed on Chinese steel imports. This directly means American manufacturers, who rely on steel, now face higher input costs for their production processes, and those increased costs ripple through the economy, ultimately affecting the final price of goods like cars. The same principle applies to appliances, construction materials, and countless other imported goods. Tariffs are not a new phenomenon. They have been around for centuries, shaping global trade dynamics. However, their effects become most noticeable and impactful when applied broadly across numerous sectors or implemented suddenly without warning. In a country like the US, which imports vast quantities of goods from around the world, the implementation of widespread tariffs can have a significant and far-reaching impact on the entire economy, affecting businesses and consumers alike. Major retailers like Walmart, which are heavily dependent on intricate global supply chains to source their products, are constantly forced to make difficult choices between absorbing the increased costs associated with tariffs or passing those costs on to consumers through raised prices. While tariffs may initially sound like a distant and abstract policy concept debated in Washington, in reality, they directly and tangibly affect the prices you pay every day for essential goods like TVs, the groceries you buy for your family, and even the toys your children play with. Therefore, understanding the basics of tariffs is crucial to understanding why decisions made in Washington, D.C. can ultimately have a direct and noticeable impact on the price tags you see at your local store. Ultimately, tariffs are a powerful government tool used to influence trade and protect domestic industries, but they come with real and tangible consequences for your wallet and the overall economy. When the Trump administration imposed tariffs on Chinese goods, Walmart, famous for low prices, warned that costs would rise. Walmart's thin profit margins meant it couldn't absorb the new expenses without raising prices. President Trump publicly insisted Walmart and China should eat the tariffs and not pass costs to consumers. This put Walmart in a bind: political pressure versus economic reality. The core issue: who really pays for tariffs? While the government collects the tax, the cost usually lands on shoppers. Walmart's CEO explained that absorbing all the tariffs was impossible. The math just didn't work. The clash highlighted the gap between political rhetoric and business operations. For millions of Americans, the result was clear: higher prices at the checkout. Tariffs became real for families when Walmart detailed price hikes on everyday items. A child's car seat, once $350, could jump by $100, a 29% increase, due to tariffs. Even basics like bananas were at risk of getting pricier. Walmart warned that price changes would hit shelves within weeks, making the impact immediate. These examples made the trade war personal, not just political. By putting dollar amounts on the increases, Walmart showed how tariffs hit household budgets. The message: trade disputes aren't abstract, they show up on your receipt. In Canada, the threat of U.S. tariffs sparked a shopping frenzy. Fearing price hikes, Canadians rushed to buy American goods before new taxes hit. Retail sales jumped 6.4% year over year, with big increases in non-essentials like electronics and clothing. Government stimulus checks and a tax holiday fueled the spree. The fear of tariffs pulled future sales into the present, creating a temporary retail boom. This behavior showed how just the announcement of tariffs can change consumer habits overnight. Canadians acted fast, stocking up before prices rose. The result? A short-term economic boost driven by anticipation, not actual policy. Canadians are seasoned cross-border shoppers, well-versed in navigating international markets for the best deals and unique products. This penchant for shopping beyond their borders has become a defining characteristic of Canadian consumer culture. With over half buying from foreign retailers online each year, the digital marketplace has truly become a global village for Canadian consumers. They are actively seeking out opportunities to purchase goods from around the world, right from the comfort of their homes. The US and China are their top sources. dominating the landscape of cross-border e-commerce for Canadian shoppers. These two economic powerhouses offer a vast array of goods and competitive prices that attract a significant portion of Canadian online spending. Making up 81% of cross-border purchases, the reliance on these two nations highlights the importance of international trade to the Canadian consumer market. This substantial percentage underscores the potential impact of any disruptions to these trade relationships. This habit made the threat of tariffs especially urgent, a looming concern for consumers who had grown accustomed to the accessibility and affordability of international goods. The potential for increased costs sent ripples of anxiety through the Canadian shopping community. Any new tax would hit a huge share of Canadian shoppers, impacting their wallets and potentially altering their purchasing habits. The prospect of higher prices on everyday items raised serious concerns about the affordability of goods. Canada's e-commerce market is booming, experiencing exponential growth as more and more Canadians embrace the convenience and variety of online shopping. This surge in online activity is transforming the retail landscape across the country. Projected to reach nearly $67.5 billion by 2030, the future of Canadian e-commerce looks incredibly promising, with substantial growth anticipated in the coming years. This forecast reflects the increasing integration of online shopping into the daily lives of Canadians. With most Canadians shopping online internationally, the potential impact of tariffs extended far beyond luxury items, threatening the accessibility of essential goods and everyday necessities. Tariffs threatened not just luxury goods but everyday staples, the very items that families rely on to maintain their households. This included groceries, personal care products, and other essential goods that are regularly purchased online. The rush to buy was about protecting access to affordable, familiar products, ensuring that families could continue to purchase the items they needed without facing significant price increases. It was a proactive measure to mitigate the potential impact of the tariffs. For many, cross-border shopping isn't a luxury. It's not about indulging in extravagant purchases or acquiring high-end goods. It's a way of life, an integral part of their routine for accessing affordable goods and a wider variety of products than might be available domestically. The looming tariffs turned routine purchases into urgent priorities, transforming a leisurely activity into a time-sensitive mission to stock up on essential items before prices potentially increased. The surge was a direct response to a threat against a deeply ingrained consumer behavior, a clear indication of how seriously Canadians take their access to cross-border shopping and the importance they place on maintaining their purchasing power. In response to U.S. tariffs on steel and aluminum, which threatened key Canadian industries, Canada hit back with its own carefully calibrated countermeasures. The Canadian government understood the importance of a strong and decisive response. Canada imposed $29.8 billion in counter-tariffs, a substantial figure designed to send a clear message. This amount was carefully calculated, matching the economic impact of the U.S. measures, ensuring a proportional response to the trade dispute. These included 25% tariffs on American steel and aluminum, directly targeting the sectors affected by the initial U.S. actions. But the response didn't stop there. Canada also imposed duties on $14.2 billion worth of other goods, everyday items like ketchup, orange juice, and whiskey. These specific products were carefully chosen for maximum political impact, aiming to resonate with American consumers. The goal to pressure U.S. businesses and consumers, making them feel the pinch of the trade dispute. This was a strategic move to push for a policy change, creating a groundswell of opposition to the tariffs within the United States. Beyond tariffs, the Canadian government also launched a campaign, urging shoppers to buy Canadian, effectively turning shopping into a patriotic act, fostering national unity and supporting local businesses. Ontario, one of Canada's largest provinces, went even further, taking a bold step by pulling American alcohol from shelves in government-run liquor stores. The province also implemented a policy banning U.S. companies from bidding on government contracts, limiting their access to public funds. These actions combined federal tariffs with provincial boycotts, creating a multi-pronged approach designed for maximum effect and broad impact. The message was clear: Canada would not back down in the face of these trade challenges, demonstrating a firm resolve. The trade dispute quickly evolved into a national cause, uniting Canadians from coast to coast. Everyday consumers were enlisted in the economic battle, making purchasing decisions that reflected their national pride. Tariffs weren't just taxes, they became symbols of resistance and economic leverage. They were tools of strategy and solidarity, demonstrating Canada's commitment to defending its economic interests. The tariff dispute created two very different retail realities. In the U.S., shoppers faced rising prices and anxiety as retailers like Walmart warned of cost increases. Political demands clashed with economic facts, leaving consumers squeezed. In Canada, fear of future price hikes sparked a retail boom as shoppers stocked up before tariffs hit. But the surge was temporary. Retaliatory tariffs and boycotts would eventually mean higher prices or fewer choices for Canadians too. The episode showed how tariffs quickly reshape everyday life, not just trade statistics. For Americans, tariffs meant tighter budgets. For Canadians, a rush to buy before the window closed. The Walmart price hikes and Canada's shopping spree reveal how deeply trade policy touches our daily lives.